Samurai Champloo is a masterpiece. I've seen it 3 times, and every time it manages to bear some new sort of philosophical fruit. But even beyond deep analysis, it's incredibly fun on the surface as well. You've got the wicked aesthetic combination of Edo period Japan and hip-hop, amazing choreography and animation in the fights, sarcastic and funny dialogue that knows when to be serious, and the soundtrack from Nujabes is ethereal and balances the context of historical Japan with contemporary hip-hop so seamlessly its ambience can almost be taken for granted if you don't realize how difficult it would have been to capture both those elements without Nujabes. Existentialism in the 21st century is an incredibly important topic. While the last 2 centuries saw the biggest conflicts in the form of tyranny and organizing the masses, the great conflict we will be facing in the 21st century is that of technological autonomy and the outsourcing of large masses of people to AI. The threat that advanced AI will render millions of people useless if they don't conform is a very real threat to the future of our species. Radiohead's OK Computer is, in my opinion, one of the best pieces of art in recent times that manifests the angst and paranoia of the technological revolution we are being thrusted into. Now, you might see the OK Computer comparison as apt, but you may be wondering how this 2005 anime about samurais has any comparison to a 21st century technological threat of meaning in life. Well, let's start with the premise of Champloo. The 2 archetypal opposite characters of Jin and Mugen run into a young girl named Fu by chance. All 3 of these characters are, in some way, trying to find their purpose. Fu wants to find the samurai who smells of sunflower seeds. Mugen is wandering alone in avoidance of his criminal and barbaric past, and Jin is searching for his meaning as a samurai in a world where the samurai arts and cultures are being abolished by the shogunate forces. This was a real event that took place, by the way. I'm going to skip to the end of the series now, so if you haven't seen it, go see it. What's wrong with you? Okay, so by the end, we don't receive a big payoff in finding the sunflower samurai and everything's happy and everyone makes it through the journey in one piece. No. For Jin and Mugen, the reality of their worlds catch up to them. Mugen is confronted with the deranged and bitter men he once wronged in the past and nearly loses his life to them. Jin faces a master samurai who has joined forces with the shogunate because he realized the samurai way is coming to an end, so he gave in and decided to help end it instead of lose his life. This samurai's goal is to kill Fu's father, aka the Sunflower Samurai, and kill her as well, as she is a descendant of the samurai. Jin fights him and nearly dies, but manages to kill him in what is one of the best fights in any animation I've ever seen. However, Jin and Mugen defeating the manifestations of their past and present dilemmas doesn't absolve them of the reality of their losing relevance with societal progress and the fact that they are outliers. However, if we look back on all the episodes before the final 3, other than a handful of episodes, the show centers around detours and creating mini-plots episodically to show the growth of these very flawed and troubled characters as they deal with the microcosm of identity issues portrayed in every episode. There's a constant dynamic of Jin and Mugen's opposing auras. Jin as the orderly, elegant elitist, and Mugen as the barbaric, wild-style loose cannon. Together, they create a great symbolic depiction of moral relativism, because they are no better than each other, even with their dichotomous set of values and principles. The emphasis on these mini-stories and detours that distract from the main plot, which is silently creeping up on these 3, is that they realize the journey was the greatest part. Fu constantly gets emotional at the thought of departing from Mugen and Jin, and by the end both Mugen and Jin find catharsis in realizing they finally have friends. Despite this new friendship, in the emotional final scene they all part ways as they know the onward stride of society has different plans for each one of them, and that a good thing doesn't last forever. We can apply this to today. Much of the dread of our technologically encompassing future stems from the distrust of our cultures and societies to use these technologies as a means of lessening suffering. The worry is that they will emphasize suffering by rendering those who fail to conform or who are at the bottom of the society useless and expendable. People who just don't have the means or luck to be able to integrate with the inevitable future of AI are in a very uncertain place. We end up having to trust soulless corporations and narcissistic elites to make the right decisions, and that's a scary thought for many. That is in fact the postmodern problem, and the nihilism that comes from this thought process is also a problem. What Champloo teaches us is that success and destination are not things we pursue, rather they are things that ensue. The helpless nihilism that has permeated many young people is justified with what we see in terms of inequality and the flaws of our systems, but the answer isn't violence or revenge in pursuit of forming meaning for ourselves. This is paradoxical and leads to more destruction and nihilism. Maybe we should take a hint from Champloo. When the uncertain times we live in are exerting pressures on us to integrate, or else we face irrelevance and suffering, we must take it upon ourselves to live moment to moment as who we know ourselves to be, even if it's not the best option for the uncertain future. You can exist knowing you are living as you intend to in the moment, and not how you should for an uncertain future. This doesn't mean don't plan ahead. It just means in planning ahead, don't bankrupt the evanescent flow of identity you exhibit in the present for an identity of anxiety and nihilism that dreads the future. Or to quote Mugen, you can make all the excuses you want, but you're the one who decides how to live your life. Thank you for watching.